All right, if you're a serious athlete, you already know that nutrition is way more than just a footnote in your training plan. It's a strategic tool, right? It can be the difference between a good performance and a truly great one. So today, we're going to explore how to move beyond that general advice and really strategically turn food into fuel for victory. And this really just nails the core idea, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the textbook stuff, right? The theory of sports nutrition, understanding metabolism, what nutrients do. But then on the other side, you have applied sports nutrition, and that's the practice. That's about assessing a real live athlete, planning their meals, and fueling them for competition day. It's literally the difference between just knowing the ingredients and actually cooking the meal that wins the championship. Okay, so what is applied sports nutrition when we get right down to it? Let's break down what this whole discipline is really about. Basically, it's all about putting nutritional science into practice with a super clear purpose: to boost performance, help your body adapt to all that hard training, speed up your recovery, and, super important, maintain your health for the long haul. Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. It's not just about, eating healthy. It's about understanding that every single thing you eat, every apple, every piece of fish, every scoop of oatmeal, is a piece of a much larger strategy. It's all about precision. So, this all kind of breaks down into three key areas. First up, it's about taking all that science from the lab and putting it into practice in the real world. Second, and this is so crucial, it's about creating a plan that's totally individualized. I mean, what works for a marathon runner is definitely not going to work for a powerlifter, right? And finally, the focus is on the whole picture: performance, recovery, and preventing injuries. Okay, so what's the big payoff here? Why does all this matter so much? Let's look at the specific goals of reaching peak performance. All right, first up, you've got the obvious one: optimizing your performance when it counts on game day. But just as important is enhancing your training adaptations. I mean, making sure your body's actually getting stronger and faster from all those brutal workouts. And of course, you've got to improve recovery so you can bounce back and hit it hard again tomorrow, maybe even harder. But it goes even deeper than that. It's not just about the physical stuff. The right nutrition helps you maintain the ideal body composition for your specific sport. It also strengthens your body's defenses, which lowers your risk of getting injured or sick. And let's not forget the mental game, because it absolutely supports the focus you need to push through when it gets really tough. Okay, now for the really fun part, the practical strategies. How do we actually match the fuel to the engine for any given sport? It really all comes down to this one core principle. Think of it this way. Your body has different engines, we call them energy systems, for different types of activity. So your nutrition plan has to provide exactly the right kind of fuel for the specific engine you're using the most. And this is where the strategy gets crystal clear. So for those super explosive sports like weightlifting that use what's called the ATPP system, the focus is all on creatinine and protein. Then you've got high-intensity stuff that lasts less than 90 seconds, like a 400-meter sprint. That's the glycolytic system, and it runs on carbs and electrolytes. And for the long haul, endurance sports, like a marathon, your oxidative system kicks in. It needs a steady drip of carbs, but it also gets really good at using fat for fuel. See? It's all about matching the fuel to the engine. And to put the sheer energy demand into perspective, get this. Some elite athletes might need up to 6,000 calories a day, just to maintain their weight and fuel their training. That is more than 3 times what most of us who sit at a desk need. So where do all those calories come from? Well, it definitely varies by sport, but a general blueprint starts to emerge when you look at the breakdown. Just look at that huge slice for carbohydrates. We're talking up to 65% of total energy. Protein needs are definitely higher to help repair muscle, and fats are essential, but they're a smaller piece of the pie. For most athletes, carbs are, without a doubt, the king. And the takeaway here is super clear. Carbs are the high-octane fuel for your muscles, period. If your tank is running low, your power output is going to drop. It's really that simple. Okay, let's make that a little more tangible. A 70-kilogram endurance runner, that's about 154 pounds, might need to pack in up to 700 grams of carbohydrates in just one day. That is a massive amount of fuel, and it all has to be consumed strategically to keep that engine running at full tilt. And all this talk about carbs naturally leads us to a pretty famous strategy: carb loading. It's a very precise protocol. For the 1 or 2 days right before a big endurance event, an athlete will just dramatically crank up their carb intake. The goal is to supersaturate their muscle glycogen stores.
Basically, you're overfilling the fuel tank on purpose.
So, does it actually work? Oh, absolutely. The right carb loading strategy can boost endurance performance by 2 to 3%. Now, I know that might not sound like a lot, but in an elite marathon, 2% can be several minutes. That's the gap between winning the whole thing and not even making the podium. It's huge.
All right, so how do we pull all these different pieces together? Let's talk about building a nutrition blueprint that's designed to work for you. Look, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that there is no one-size-fits-all plan. It just doesn't exist. Your personal nutrition blueprint has to take everything into account. The specific demands of your sport, whether you're in season or off season, your own individual physiology, and even real-world stuff like your lifestyle and what food you can actually get.
And all of this really leads to one final, really crucial question for you to think about. Take a hard look at how you eat and how you train. Is your nutrition just theory? Just a collection of general ideas you've heard here and there? Or is it truly applied, a deliberate, strategic tool that you are actively using to crush your goals? Because the answer to that question, well, that could be your next big competitive edge.